Okay, supposedly I can be heard now, I think. So please let me know if that's the case. I actually am trying to get myself on here. So if you are with me, let me know if you can hear me now. Please let me know if you can hear me now. Why do I feel like a Verizon commercial? I don't know whether I'm a Verizon commercial or not, but I feel like one. So I'm looking at the chat thing. Let me know if you can hear me now. I'm hoping that you can. I do have levels everywhere, so now I'm better off than I was before. But I'm not seeing anybody let me know that they can hear me. Looks like there are folks, 27 of you there. Somebody let me know if you've got audio. Are you able to hear me? Thumbs up. I can hear you. Okay. Whew. Well, I hate to blame it on my son, but but the truth is, the other day he was using my, thank you very much, I appreciate that. The other day he was using my computer for his Bible group to get together, and apparently he hit mute on the mic channel. So I had to cancel a previous stream, which really I didn't have to cancel. I just didn't realize that the mic had been muted. So now I've fixed that. Forgive me. It's been a crazy day. You know, when you're a normal, regular person, like, you know, and I know you understand this, you have stuff to do. And so not only did I have a lot of work to do for business, I was all day in Yuma, Arizona yesterday trying to work on some things. It was 112 degrees or 114 degrees or something. So I was pretty melted by the time I got back home. But today I was trimming trees all day. And then it suddenly dawns on me. I looked at my watch and I realized it's 20 till 6. And I'm like, oh no. And I'm out there cleaning up the mess from having trimmed trees all day. So forgive me. All I was able to do was put on a shirt, change my shirt. That was it, because the other one was all covered with stuff. I'm very grateful this is YouTube and not PewTube, because I'm sure I stink from working out in the sun all day. But if you've ever worked for a living, I know you get it, and that's fine. Okay, good. All right. Hey, man, I'm glad you're having a great week. I hope you are having an exciting week. It's been a really crazy week here in California. We have Gavin Gruesome Nuisance, whatever you want to call him, who, for whatever crazy reason, you have to let me know in the comments how you feel about it and whether you think the whole coronavirus thing has now become a political football. I kind of think it has. But in any case, today, Governor Nuisance decided to roll back the fact that we were opening significantly and order people once again to close their businesses. Now, I have a serious problem with this. And many reasons I have. I mean, let me just give you tell me what you think in the comments, okay? Because as soon as I get done with my rambling here, I'll look at your comments and answer questions and so on. But one of the reasons I have a big problem with this is that we were certainly allowed I didn't, but I mean, you were certainly allowed, if you wanted to, if you were part of BLM or Antifa or whatever, you were allowed to protest, riot, loot in the thousands, tens of thousands all over California. Nobody troubled you with making sure you didn't burn things down, let alone whether you wore a mask or socially distanced. But you can't, if you're an honest, law-abiding citizen, open your business. You're supposed to starve to death and lose your life savings and everything you've ever worked for all of your life, while politicians who order you to do this somehow are still drawing a paycheck. I have a problem with that. Anyway, it infuriates the tar out of me. I'll look at your comments here in a minute. A couple of other things in the news I thought I would make sure that you're aware of in case you've been working like a normal person or you've just been busy because you're a regular person like me and you haven't had a chance to look at the news. This, I think, was in Bearing Arms. I cut off the top. I apologize. But the fellow who, his name was Baca, the fellow who was in Albuquerque ended up shooting a guy because he was at a protest. And he was attacked after a protest. Admittedly, he was kind of a stinker himself. But nevertheless, I went through a video and I went through the whole thing about the attack. He was trying to get away. He was trying to exit, and he was attacked. Nevertheless, the local district attorney has decided that he was the aggressor initially. And so as a result, he's going to be charged with a crime. Now, look. Anybody with half a brain would say, yeah, okay, he was a stinker initially, but he was trying to leave. When they told him to leave, he was trying to leave. He was trying to escape, and they literally chased him down the street and attacked him, at which point he had a legal right to defend himself. But no, because you have a politically motivated prosecutor there. They're going to prosecute him anyway. And he's not alone. Here's these folks from St. Louis who made national news. They're now national stars. This gentleman who's an attorney, I think his wife's an attorney as well, who stood on their front porch. They didn't shoot anybody, but they were threatened, and their home was threatened. Even their dog was threatened. People said they were going to kill you. We're going to kill you. I'm going to take that room. That's going to be my bedroom. I'm going to live over there. We're going to burn your house to the ground. All these other things people said to them. And so they stood on that front porch and defended their property, which apparently, under the law of that state, they have the legal right to do. That is part and parcel of the castle doctrine in that state. But nevertheless, because you have a politically motivated prosecutor again, these folks are also, apparently, it sounds like, going to be prosecuted. So the bottom line there is, if you defend yourself, if you want to loot and so on in these democratic destroyed cities or democratic destroyed states, and I hate to call them that. If you're a Democrat and a gun lover, I'm not picking on you, but let's face it, many of these states that are falling apart, in fact, all of these states that are falling apart like this or doing this kind of stuff, are all being run by Democrats. And so if you live in a state like I do, or you live in a city, I don't, but if you live in a city that's run by Democrats, and you defend yourself, you better have some legal insurance or something to back you up. Now, I live in a city that's run by a very conservative, just happens to be Republican, but conservative mayor and conservative city council and conservative police chief and like that. So I've probably got a better chance of not being prosecuted for something stupid than I have of being prosecuted for it. And even San Diego as a city is run by a Republican mayor, although I wouldn't consider him actually conservative, but he's much more so than, for example, St. Louis. But still, I mean, it's kind of a zoo there. So these are the things that are going on in the news right now. It's a little crazy. And in the midst of all of that, I'm getting a lot of phone calls and emails from people. Because we have Practical Defense Systems, it's a training company, and because I teach the concealed carry course for the local sheriff's department here in San Diego, I'm getting a lot of people calling me that explaining that they've never owned a gun, never felt the need for a gun, but they want to go buy one. And they want to know where they can buy a gun in a hurry. Well, that's kind of like closing the barn doors after the horses got loose, because at this point, everybody and their grandmother's buying a gun all over the country. There's a shortage of supply as a result. And in California, you can never buy a gun legally in a hurry. So a lot of these folks are discovering that they voted for many years for these knucklehead politicians who essentially are screwing up where they live, and now they're kind of stuck. So that's what's happening in the news here. Let me see if the stream is still going. Looks like it is. Thank you very much. I see Scott down there from Patreon. Thank you very much, Scott. I appreciate that. I have to admit to you, I didn't have a really well planned out live stream today because, again, I kind of forgot it was Tuesday. I've been trimming stuff out, and I had a pile of tree stuff I had to make little ones out of big ones, and I had to cut up firewood, and I had all kinds of things going on today, and it's hot. And so by the time I remembered I had a live stream was probably about 5:30-ish. And then I came in here and sat down. So I don't have a brilliant conversation for you today. I apologize. I'm not sure I ever have one, but I certainly don't have one today. I don't have anything like that to share with you other than I'm going to tell you kind of a story, okay? So we love to camp, I love to hunt, and so on. And so for a long time, I've been wanting to have a really good tent for hunting. And I've hunted where I've just slept on the ground for years, or I've got a little 10x10 dome tent I've used for years and slept on the ground, and it's snowing or it's raining or whatever. I've gone duck hunting with a couple of buddies on a number of occasions where it's just pouring down rain. But you're hunting ducks, so, do you care? No. You're getting wet. It's the way it is, whether you're standing in the water or it's coming down on you or both. And I've just done that for a long, long time. And now, as I get older, I don't want to sleep on the ground anymore. I would like to have a better kind of a hunting camp, if you will. So I ordered a wall tent. And it's not a traditional wall tent. I ordered a tent from Kodiak Canvas because I wanted something with the floor to keep the critters out and like that. And it's not going to be a semi-permanent structure. It's a good-sized tent for me and perhaps for my son if we're going to go hunting, and he's free to go do it for deer camp or whatever. And then it's also a tenting opportunity for my family and I. And my wife is not going to sleep on the ground. So we have some really good cots, and I've invested in a bunch of stuff. Okay, this is a long story. I apologize. I'll try to make it as short as possible. So I'm like, okay, I want to make sure if I'm going and getting water out of the river or whatever, if we're in a remote place, that I've got a simple, easy way to filter that water for drinking. Now, I have Sawyer water filters, and I can do all that stuff. But again, I'm thinking about my wife and like that. So I want to order a Berkey water filter. I have a picture of it, I think. So let me see if I have it. No, I don't. I apologize. If I can come up with one, I'll post it. But it's a big stainless steel water filter if you've never seen one. And I got the big Berkey, the great big one, right? And they're expensive, so I had to save the money. I'm squirreling away the money to buy this thing. I squirreled away the money. I bought the tent, the wood stove, and all this other stuff. And I squirreled away the money, and I'm going to order this filter. So I go online to order the filter. This is, I think, Friday of last week. They won't send it to me because I'm in California. Well, now, I'm used to that stuff where guns are concerned, but why won't you send me a water filter to California? I couldn't figure it out. And I didn't have a lot of time to mess with it. So I went out yesterday. I had to go to Yuma, Arizona anyway. I stopped by Sprague's, and I had some other things to do while I was there, and we have a kind of an extension of our business out there, and so I had some business stuff to do. So I'm doing all my running around, and of course, I stop in the store, and look what I find. A Berkey water filter. It's the very one I wanted, so I'm there anyway. I'm thinking, okay, well, they won't ship it to me. I'll go ahead and buy it. So I bought it, and I brought it home. And then this afternoon, I took a break. It's hot outside. I'm sitting in the air conditioning, and I thought, well, I'll look and see why won't they ship these things to California. I can't figure out why they won't do it. It doesn't make any sense to me at all. And so I'm like, okay, I'm looking it up, and I'm finding out that, yeah, sure enough, they won't ship them to California. I don't really know why. I'm reading the whole deal. They won't ship them to California because anything that has anything to do with water, apparently, in California, has to be certified as being lead-free. This is a filter that removes, among other things, lead from water. There's no lead in it. It's stainless steel. There's no lead in it at all. It's a totally stainless steel device, except for the filters, which are ceramic. But the manufacturer, just like guns, the manufacturer has to pay to have it certified. Then they have to pay the state of California in order to sell it here. And if they make one change, it's just like guns, if they make one change of a supplier for any part or any material, even though they may be buying exactly the same part, but they get a different maybe they want to change the stainless steel spigot, and they're going to get a different company because they like that company better, or maybe it's the same spigot, they're getting a little less money. It's going to cost them a little less money, but they're getting the same quality, and they want to change the manufacturer of the stainless steel spigot. If they do that, they have to go through the whole process of certification and approval by the state of California again. So as a result, Berkey was like, well, the heck with that. We're not gonna sell it in California. Is that a racket or what? I thought they just did this stuff with guns. But states like California, New York, New Jersey, all these really super over-regulated states, they do this with everything. They've got their fingers in every aspect of your life, and they will drive you completely nuts. I had a similar thing happen with a generator I wanted to buy. I went to order a generator because I wanted one that would burn both gas and propane. I have one that runs on gas, but I wanted one that would run on either one because I have uses for it. And I went to order it. They wouldn't ship it to California. Well, I was in Yuma, and so I stopped by Home Depot, and I said, I'm from California. Can I buy this? And they said, sure. So I bought it, and I took it home. And I thought, I don't know why they wouldn't sell it to me in California or ship it to California, but they wouldn't ship it. They would ship it anywhere else, but not California. And sure enough, it's this cockamamie screwball regulations that get in the way of things. My wife said to me today, how can we get rid of that stuff? I said, you got to find a politician like, I'm gonna credit Trump here. You got to find a politician like Trump who's willing to get up there and kill all these nonsensical regulations like he's done with the federal government. That's what he's been doing all this time. Well, anyway, that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. I've just been cutting trees all day, so I'm going to look at your stuff. What have you been doing, and what questions can I answer for you. Let me look at your stuff here and see what you got. I don't know if the stream's working or not. YouTube is not receiving enough stuff here. California's a lost cause. All right, if the stream's working, let me know. And you're right, California's a lost cause, but I'm here trying to fix it anyway. All right, that's a different subject. I'm hoping the stream is still going, and if it is, great. Let me know if it's okay. Here's the deal with California. I get Trump sucks. Somebody's just a real news. Trump sucks. Okay, well, I'll address that in a minute. I don't know Donald Trump, so I don't know whether he sucks personally or not. However, he's been a very good president in a lot of respects. He has not been a perfect president, but I am in my 60s, and I was born in the 1950s. I was born during Dwight Eisenhower's administration. I'm looking at the comments as well. Still going. Okay, good. I was born during Dwight Eisenhower's administration, and so I've lived through a lot of presidents. I have yet to bump into a president or politician at all with whom I agree all the time. And Donald Trump is no different. There are certain things he does that I think are dumber than dumb. And then there are other things he does, like getting rid of federal regulations, that he's done a masterful job of securing our border, that he's done more to do than any politician or any president in my lifetime. Like improving our economy before coronavirus, he did more for our economy than any president in my lifetime. Like going after China and actually standing up to them, which no president in my lifetime has been willing to do. I mean, this is the list of things that he's done for this country are quite phenomenal in the short time that he's been president. So I'm going to vote for him in November, whether you do or not. And that's my opinion. Take it for what you will. You can get mad at me if you want. I don't care, because I look at it this way. We all have a right to our opinion. You have a right to yours. I have a right to mine. This is my show. I'm sharing mine. You're welcome to share yours in the comments. And if we can do that and we can agree to disagree, great. I'm not going to get mad at you if you disagree with me. That's your right. If you want to get mad at me, that's on you. And so that's my view of it. All right. What was the? Let me go back here. I was going to talk about something else and remember what it is. Okay. You hear me? Let's see. Hi there. And I can hear you. I'm grateful. Let's see. Anybody got questions here? If you do, I will try to answer them. Have you tried Norma ammo? This is conscious, and forgive me. My glasses are on the other end of the house. I can't read the name. I apologize. But the question is, have you tried Norma ammo, MHP 9mm, I think is what that says. What are your thoughts? The answer is no, I have not. I have tried Norma ammo, but not that particular one, so I don't have an answer for you. I apologize. The greatest troll to ever live is this guy's name. I love it. Okay, well, if you're going to be a troll, by George, be the greatest one that ever lived. Or don't, go hard or go home, right? Nice new gun reviews. Yes, I have a lot of gun reviews. Okay, here's what's coming up in gun reviews so that you know. And a lot of this, I've done a lot of interviews because we've had so much going on, and I've had so many people wanting to interview, and I've done a lot of other things because I couldn't get on the range because the ranges were closed for a while. But I have been on the range. I've got next Monday I'll be out in Yuma again. I have an AK from Franklin Armory with their binary trigger in it. That's out at Yuma. That's going to be a lot of fun, so I'm going to review that. I just did a review on an optic for your Glock or for your pistol, and they had to send me the whole pistol out to Yuma because I didn't have a pistol that would fit the optic. But it was a lot. It was pretty cool. That was neat. I have a review that I'm going to finish not this coming Friday, but next Friday. Pete and I are going to go out to a long range and shoot out 800 yards, 700 yards, 600 yards. Finally, I'm going to be able to do this with the Sig Sauer BDX system. They sent it to me a long time ago. I've never gotten to it, and I've never gotten to it because I haven't been able to get on the range. I needed to get on a long-distance range, and with the whole COVID thing, I got back from, I was going to do it before SHOT Show. I didn't get a chance. Got back from SHOT Show. I was sick as a dog in February, as well as my son. And then all of us, not with COVID-19, by the way, at least not as far as I know. And then, everything went to pot with COVID. And so I haven't been able to do it. But we do have that coming up. Also, Bullet Safe sent me one of their vests, which I'm going to take and test. We're going to shoot at it with all kinds of pistols and see how well it does. Because in this environment, a lot of folks are wanting to purchase armor. And if you're a police officer or you're somebody that you got a good paycheck and you want to buy a custom fit vest. I get it. A lot more comfortable, looks a lot better under the uniform, fits better under the T-shirt if you're undercover or if you're a politician or somebody or some public speaker and you don't want it to be obvious you're wearing a vest. Makes a lot of sense. But they're also super pricey, where Bullet Safe seems to have a fairly inexpensive vest for $2.99, so we're going to take it out and shoot it, because if you're buying one for you and every member of your family, you're on a budget, that's probably a better deal for you, provided it does what it says it does. So we're going to go out and do that. I'm trying to think of what else I got. I've got 3 or 4 other items that came in. I just did a review on a Streamlight light laser thing. Optics Planet has sent me a couple of things off the top of my head. So we got a lot of them, is my point. So we're going to be doing a lot of that because I now have access to a couple of ranges again. Although, now the governor is wanting to shut stuff down, so I may have to drive to Arizona to do these things, but I don't think so. I think we'll be able to do it here. So stick with me. I do have an interview coming up next week, very exciting. I cannot remember the guy's name. I apologize. But he sent me his book, so I'm going to read it, and then we're going to talk with him next week. And I'll post that on Patreon. So if you're on Patreon, you'll get a little heads up. And then the interview should be up next week or the week after that, I hope. All right, let me go back on now. See, I lost 5 friends from the virus, so something needs to be done. Okay, and you know what? I'm terribly sorry to hear that. I really am. And it is a real thing. It's not a, I'm not in any way trying to indicate that the disease isn't real and that it isn't deadly. So that's not my point. And I realize it's a serious thing. I'm not trying to make light of it. I think at this point, though, it is, in addition to its seriousness, I think it is being used as a political weapon in a lot of cases. And that's concerning to me. If we're using a pandemic as a political weapon during an election year or any other time, that's disingenuous, and it's flat. It's wrong. There needs to be a consistent application of the rules. If you're going to tell an individual who started a business, there's a guy not that far from us that has a gym that he started. It's always a mom and pop gym. My son works out there. He lifts there. If that place has to close again, he will go out of business. Pier 1 Imports is going out of business. The Soup Plantation, all of them went out of business. We have a bunch of little shops right around my area that are struggling, many of which are going to have to fold up and go out of business. And what are these people going to do for a living? So if politicians are going to order businesses closed and tell you you cannot make a living, you're going to lose your business, you're going to lose your job, you're going to lose your home, you're going to lose everything, then they do not get to say to protesters, it's okay to go out and protest, and we're with you, and we stand with you, and let's paint right in front of Trump Tower, Black Lives Matter. Let's support you to the nth degree while we have honest, law-abiding citizens who cannot pay their bills because we've shut them down. But you can go out and do whatever you want, and it doesn't matter whether you have a mask on or not. We're not going to hold you to account. That is a double standard that is unacceptable in this country. So I don't want to, and forgive me for getting a little fired up about it, but frankly, it ticks me off. Not only that, when you're telling me I can't go to church and the First Amendment to the Constitution guarantees me the right to do so, and you're violating my constitutional rights, that troubles me when you're using that to violate constitutional rights. When I could go to church, we could go to church, we could socially distance, we could wear masks, we could do the appropriate things. What is the difference, for example, between going to the gym and working out wearing a mask and socially distancing and going to the supermarket and buying vegetables and food? There isn't any. What is the difference between walking into Costco and buying and going shopping when everyone else is walking around Costco going shopping? You're required to wear a mask. They wipe off everything when you get done using it. There's no difference between that and walking into the dry cleaners and dropping off my dry cleaning. But I can't walk into the dry cleaners and drop off my dry cleaning because the dry cleaners has to close. This is the idiocy of the policies, at least in the state in which I live and from what I've seen around the country. So please don't take it as if I'm saying that COVID-19 is not real and that it isn't dangerous and that people haven't lost their lives and that it hasn't been an enormous tragedy. I believe it is real. People have lost their lives and it has been an enormous tragedy. It's also been used as a political football, and it still is, and that's the part that infuriates me. So anyways, I'm sorry. It's a gun channel. I didn't mean to get off on that. I apologize. Let's go back up here. Norma. Let's see. Nice new gun reviews. Okay, thank you very much. Let's see. I did that. He's mad people. He's mad people are going to recall him. Who are we talking about? Probably Gavin Newsom. I hope we recall him. That guy's a real piece of work, and he wants to be president. I don't think we can stand another shutdown. I don't think we can either. I think this country will fold if we keep shutting down. I have a lot of people I know are essentially. I just had today. I had numerous people tell me that the governor of California can take his shutdown and shove it where the sun doesn't shine, because they have to make a living and they have bills to pay and they're going to work, and they don't care what the governor says. They're going to do what they can to maintain social distancing, wear a mask, keep the place clean, do all the things they need to do. But they're not shutting their businesses down. And now the governor's got some group of black shirt or brown shirts, like the Nazi brown shirt stormtroopers, that are going to be going through the state looking for businesses that don't comply, so he can fine them into non-existence. So you can't make them. They can't make a living. They can't do their business, but you're going to fine them too. And oh, by the way, I noticed the last time he was shutting things down, coincidentally, the county in which his wineries are was not shut down. Now, I don't know if that was because of that, but it sure did seem a little odd to me. All right, so I can get a little irritated by that. I'm a businessman, and so far, because our business is online, we're fine. But I have so many friends who are going up down the tubes financially that it's really terrible. As a species, we've withstood plagues, yellow fever, measles, smallpox, polio. It's got quite a list here. And other diseases, we will withstand this. Well, yeah, we probably will. Some will not, unfortunately, and we'll lose some people. It's really sad. But yeah, sure, we're going to get past it. It's whether people are going to be able to make a living and keep their homes and those kind of things. Missouri has the castle doctrine. Well, yes, so does California, by the way. But the difference is that Missouri's castle doctrine is very broad and very inclusive, from what I understand, where California's is very narrow. And one of the things, it's my understanding, one of the things the Missouri castle doctrine allows is the protection of your home, your property. California doesn't let you do that. California lets you defend yourself or another human being. You can use deadly force to defend your human life, but you can't use it to defend property. Missouri apparently is different. You laugh every time you see that picture. Okay. Let's see. I may have lost a couple. I apologize if I did. I'm going to try to get everybody's as I usually do. I live in a conservative county in California, way Second Amendment friendly, or at least for California. Well, you know what? This is from Brian J 1 2 3 4 5 6 1 4. Anyway, whatever. We have a Brian. I do too. I actually don't live in San Diego. I live in East County, quite a little bit east of San Diego, in a suburb out there, kind of a suburb exurb kind of a thing, is what they call it. But the little town I live in, we have a very conservative mayor, very conservative city council. In fact, our mayor used to own a gun shop. If that gives you any idea. So the way they treat things out here are completely different from what you would see in other parts of a major metropolitan area in California, particularly up in LA or San Francisco or like that. Thank you, Scott, for the comment on Patreon. I really appreciate it. Buy a gun in a hurry in California. You're right. It is funny. Nobody can do that. Couldn't do it before COVID. You can't do it now. Does California have a castle doctrine? Yes. As a matter of fact, I just answered that question. It's if you want the numbers, and you can look it up, it's 198.5 PC. It's in the penal code. 198.5. That's the castle doctrine. And you can look it up and read it, and you can see what it says. And by the way, it applies to your home, not your yard, just so that you know. So I wouldn't step out in front of the yard unless you absolutely have to, or not your backyard, not your front yard. It applies to the inside of your property if somebody's forcing their way into your property. It is dark in the communist state of Connecticut. Let's see. Yes, California has, okay. I just explained that. Thank you, Joseph Wolf. I appreciate those comments. That was very nice of you. He said to keep up the good work, basically. Well, yes. Okay. So MP has said the 2A is dead with Biden, not by a chance of Constitution, but by the illegal laws. Well, okay. So Joe Biden is not all there. I know that that could be a political thing, that people could accuse him of not being all there because they want to use that for political purposes to convince people that he's not all there. But I've had family members and friends, and I've seen friends' family members, and my neighbor at one point before he passed away, his wife had dementia. And so I've seen it from, I'm not a medical person, but I've seen it from the very beginnings until it becomes so severe that they're 10-second Tom. I mean, you have a conversation. I don't mean that to be funny, but you're having a conversation with them, and it's resetting about every, 10 seconds or 5 seconds or whatever. My neighbor's wife, before she passed away, and he passed away, he was 92, I think. His name was Tom. His wife was so bad that I would introduce myself to her. She would introduce herself to me. We would talk for 5 or 6 seconds, and she would look at me and go, "Do you live here?" And I'd say, "Yes." She'd say, "Oh, well, my name is," and I'd say, "Well, my name's Joel. It's nice to meet you." And we'd have the same conversation again, and then we'd last just a short time, and she'd go, "Do you live here?" And that's how bad it gets. It's an incredibly sad thing. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. But as a result, because I've seen it many times, I'm of the opinion that just watching Joe Biden, he's got early onset dementia. And I'm stunned, my wife and I both said it, we're stunned that his family has not somehow convinced him to stop running for office. He's a mess. He was always a criminal and always a liar and always, he was never a good guy. He was folksy and, get along with people, kind of. But if you ever pressed him, he'd yell at you and argue with you, and that's not a dementia issue. He did that when he was younger. He always represented himself as something he's not. He always plagiarized other people's speeches and other people's stuff. He's been a liar for a long, long time. So he was never a good guy. He was never a guy that you'd ever want leading the country. But now, if you take that plus add early onset dementia, no, if he becomes president, the country will go merrily down the porcelain fixture, and the Second Amendment will be part of that. New York, hey, Garthland, thank you very much. All the way from New York State. Hopefully you're up in upstate. It's beautiful up there. The last thing I remember about New York State was Howe Caverns, I think is what they call it. What a beautiful place. That's up in upstate New York, I think, and it was just fabulous. I'll never forget that. That's Gavin Gasbag, Scott said. Scott Lever, thank you very much. Joel, perhaps it was not a unicorn approved. That's probably the problem with the Berkey filter. When is the election year for California? It's this year, but I don't think for governor. I think that's not for a while, but I don't know off the top of my head. I apologize. Let's see. California is a lost cause. People say that, but the truth is, I think everywhere you live has its own challenges. California is a place that has challenges, and that's the case if you lived here or if you lived in the beautiful mountains of Mount Montana on a mountain and you had all the freedom in the world. You'd still be dealing with wolves and bears and mountain lions and the incredible cold winters. And if you don't stock up enough wood, you got problems. I mean, everywhere you go, there are challenges in life. In California, they tend to be political, but there's other challenges as well. I don't see California as a lost cause. I see California as a really tough place to live and fight the battle for the Second Amendment and for the Constitution. Do I think it's lost? No. Do I think it's likely to turn around in my lifetime? Maybe. It all depends on what's happening with the court system, which is another reason to elect Trump. By the way, I saw a news story today that Ruth Bader Ginsburg, whatever, is in the hospital yet again for some ailment or whatever. She's very, very old. She's in her mid-80s, I think. And her health is it's kind of not great. And when you're that old, you got one foot on the grave and another one in a banana peel. I mean, you could whoop, and there you are in the grave. I mean, that can happen at any time when you got age on you like that. So you have to ask yourself the question: if she ends up passing away or retiring in the next presidential 4 years after the election, do you want her to be replaced by Trump or Biden? I don't have to think a lot on that. I don't want Biden replacing her. My gosh. Say goodbye to every right you have. I would rather have Trump replace her. But if he did that, and we now had someone in there very conservative, and there's a chance that Chief Justice Roberts, who's become a complete and utter waste case in some areas where the Second Amendment is concerned in general, and some other areas, we now would have a different split where it might not be the case that Roberts could throw us under the bus like he's doing now. So this is another reason to make sure that Trump, I know Just the Real News says Trump sucks, but he may, in a lot of ways. But again, one way or the other, I'm going to vote for Donald Trump because I think he's the best choice. For many years, I voted for the evil of two lessers, or the lesser of two evils, depending on how I want to put it. And you may end up having to do that. But Biden, if you're a gun owner and you vote for Biden, I'm concerned about you because you're not. Because the Second Amendment isn't terribly important to you if that's the case. And sometimes people, they're not single-issue voters. They got other things that they're worried about. But Biden's going to tear your rights to shreds. Let's see. I'm sorry. I'm taking too long on some of these. I apologize. Let me see if I can get through the rest of them for you. 2022, somebody says, Scott Leeper says, is the next election for governor in the state of California. Thank you. Thank you very much, Scott, for answering that. Trump is not a 2A supporter. Well, that's B. Larson. That's not true. It's true that he is not a 2A zealot. He's a pragmatist. And so he's very pragmatic. He's going to do what he thinks wins. So he's not going to, for example, he's the NRA and not GOA. Gun Owners of America fights the battle to the ground, even if they know they're going to lose it. And I'm not picking on GOA. I'm a life member of GOA. But historically, GOA will go fight a battle, even though it's a lost cause, so that they can say they fought the battle. NRA, by comparison, will not fight that battle. They'll give on that battle because they know it will help them win this battle over here. That's more pragmatic. GOA is more zealous. So whether you're zealous or pragmatic, you're going to pick one or the other. Trump is a pragmatist. He's a businessman. So he realizes that I'm a businessman. I've owned a real estate brokerage, a gun shop, a computer store, and now I own a training company. I've owned a number of small businesses, and some I've sold and made money with, and some I went down the tubes and I lost my shirt. Okay. But as a businessman, I understand that sometimes in order to negotiate things, I have to give a little to get a little, and that's Trump. And it infuriates Second Amendment supporters because he's willing to give on the bump stock in order to accomplish something over here. He's also pragmatic in the sense that he might give a little without giving a little. So, for example, with the bump stock, he wrote, and I don't know this for a fact, but when I did it, I thought this was brilliant. He did it as an executive order or in order to, which was completely illegal. And the ATF reclassified it, which was completely illegal. If he did that knowing that it was going to end up in court and be thrown out, then that was very smart of him. He was able to give a little without really giving anything. But the problem is to Second Amendment people like me, it looked really bad. So is he a can I say he's not a 2A protector? I would say that's not entirely correct. He's done a lot to protect the Second Amendment. He's also done some to harm it, and part of that is his pragmatic nature. I'm not making excuses for him. I'm just explaining the mindset. The mindset of that guy is different. He's played real estate and done deals in places where it's nigh on impossible to do deals, New York City and so on, and yet he's been extremely successful because he's able to play the game. So for him, he's going to play the game in order to accomplish his goal, whatever that is. And that rubs some people wrong. So, I don't necessarily agree with you, B. Larson and Lawson in that. I think he has done a lot to protect the Second Amendment, but he's also given in areas where it makes people mad. Peter Ladera, any news on the ammunition background check case? Yes, it's still working its way through court. Nothing has been decided yet, as far as I know. And I just did a video recently with Sam Paredes, you might want to look at with an interview, and I did one right before that with Chuck Michelle, and they both talked about it. Nothing has changed, as far as I know, from the time we did those interviews. But if I think about it at the end, I'll link them here. If not, you should be able to find them on the channel. because they're really recent. If you just look at videos, you'll find the most recent ones. You think the gun stores and ranges will still be open even though Newsom declared closures again? I don't know. I think gun stores, because they fall into the Second Amendment, they're essential, and I think the president did that, as he did with churches. So they have to find a way for them to do business because they're considered essential. Just like he can tell you you can't meet at church, but they can't keep you from doing online church or whatever. And they really shouldn't be telling you can't meet at church, but that's what they're doing. Ranges, I think it's going to depend on whether they're indoor or outdoor. I don't know of any outdoor ranges which are closing, but they're indoor ranges because their indoor activities may be forced to shut down. I realize that's an I don't know answer, but it's the best I got. Is there a way to challenge a ruling of the Attorney General for defending your home and properties? I'm not sure what ruling by the Attorney General you're talking about. And that's the bomb 573. So if you want to clarify that, I'll try to answer it, and I'll run across your comment in a little bit. Each state has its own laws where self-defense are concerned. Some are very broad and allow you to do a lot. Some are very narrow and very restrictive. And so a lot of it depends on the state that you're in. What was your issue with Ronald Reagan? I assume that's who you're talking about, Ronald Reagan. You say I have an issue with Ronald Reagan? Well, okay. As president, boy, you're asking me to actually make my brain work now. I'm tired. I've been working all day. I had an issue with Ronald Reagan when he was California governor because he was governor when the Black Panthers protested at the Capitol over the police not doing their job in Oakland. And when they did so carrying rifles, shotguns, guns, and whatever. And California outlawed open carry. And Ronald Reagan, if memory serves me correctly, was the one who signed that into law as governor. So I had a problem with that. As president, I felt that there were certain things with Ronald Reagan that he could have done. Okay, so let me just say to you that I think Ronald Reagan was the greatest president we had in my lifetime until Trump. Now, that's going to blow up a lot. I can see the heads exploding now. The reason I say that is because arguably President Trump has managed to achieve more in a single term than any president in U.S. history. It's not arguable. It's a fact. He's gotten rid of more overburdening federal regulation than any president in U.S. history. He has done a better job of negotiating with Mexico and Canada than any president in U.S. history. He has, the list of things he's accomplished is quite impressive, actually. Is he the communicator that Ronald Reagan was? No. Ronald Reagan, they called him the Teflon president for a reason. That guy could talk himself out of or into anything. He was a masterful communicator. I used to love watching his speeches. I would stop in the middle of a store where they were selling television sets just to watch whatever speech he was, and he'd have them all over the store because I was always so enamored with the fact that he spoke as well as he did. He was amazing. And I don't remember who it was he was debating, but I'll never forget it. He was old, and they asked him a question, does he think that age should be a concern in the presidential election? He said something to the effect of course not. I would never use my opponent's youth and inexperience against him. And that was the end of, I think it was it Walter Mondale? I don't remember. But in any case, that was the end of that. And that was typical Ronald Reagan. I don't remember specifically issues I had with him as president off the top of my head. I'm sorry. But I do remember the California one. Let's see. Other than that, I thought he was a great president, and I voted for him twice. So there you go. Getting us out of Syria, yes, absolutely. Getting us out of Afghanistan, getting us out of Iraq. Come on now. Former Californian here, any word on whether Newsom will be recalled? Well, there's an effort to do that. I signed the petition. I think there's been a couple of efforts to do it, and I believe I signed one. I may have signed both. Garthland, good job, Joel. How love your channel. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. By the way, I'm going to stop here and say this. I really appreciate the fact that you watch. I'm just astounded. I look at the growth in the subscribers, and I'm not that interesting a person. At least I don't think so anyway. I'm just really fascinated that people like the channel as much as they do, and I'm really grateful that you watch. I think the weirdest thing for me, and this, because I'm just a regular blue collar person. I'm not, we're not fancy people, okay? I don't drive a new fancy car. My truck is 18 years old. I think it's a 2002. My wife's car is 16 or 17 years old. We live in a 1,500 square foot house we've had for decades. We have regular people, regular family. My dad was a policeman. My stepdad was a stone and a block mason and brick mason. I grew up in the masonry trade. We're just working people, right? So it's weird when I go someplace and somebody walks up and says, "Hey, Joel," and I this happened to me. My wife and I'm half Italian, and my wife is of Mexican and Spanish descent. She does not look Mexican, by the way. People will comment and say, "Well, you don't look Mexican." She doesn't. She looks Spanish. She's blue eyes and light skin. But we were at a winery, and a guy walked up and he went, "Oh, hey, Joel." And he shook hands with me. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm going, "Oh, please, Lord, let me remember this guy's name." I really feel bad that I don't remember his name, because in the Latino culture, when you don't remember somebody's name, that's insulting. That's hurtful. And so he wasn't Latino, but my wife is. She's Latina. So I'm aware of that. And so I'm trying to remember the name, and he says, "I love your channel. Hey, this is the Gun Guy." And all of a sudden I went, whew, I'm saved, But it's so odd for me to have people feel like I'm important enough for them to come say hi to. So I really do appreciate the fact that you watch. I'm very grateful that you do. Anyway, I know I'm kind of going on and on about that. I apologize. All right, Reagan sponsored, somebody put in here, maybe this was my problem with Reagan. I guess I'll find out. Reagan sponsored the the CIA importation of cocaine from South America. Okay. I don't remember that in particular, but that's because my brain, right now I'm tired, so that may be right. But I don't doubt you. That's Jason Bourne 777. I love the name. More good than bad, so he's got my vote. Well, that's it, Charlie. That's kind of just Charlie, right? That's where I am with Trump. More good than bad. Would I like him personally? I don't know. From what I understand from people that know him, he's a very engaging individual, but I've never met the man, so I don't know. I realize he's from Queens, so he comes off as a New Yorker, and I'm from California, so that kind of rubs me wrong, but it is what it is. It is obvious when a politician is lying, their lips start moving. Well, that's generally true. 9mm is becoming a dinosaur soon. You think California will ever turn red again? Yes, it's possible. It's possible. I think this whole COVID thing and the riots are not to be discounted where that's concerned. A lot of people are seriously ticked off about the way the state has been run through all of this. I know, because I hear from them all the time, and a lot of them are Democrats. A lot of them are liberals. And when I say liberals, I mean classic liberals. I don't mean way left crazy people. I mean classic liberals. A lot of them are, I'm sorry, I'm batting the microphone here. A lot of them are classic liberals, and they're not happy with the way this has been handled, the riots and everything. And so you just never know. Could it go the other direction? Yeah, I think it's possible. Do I think it's likely? No, but I do think it's in the short term, but I do think it's possible. The other thing you got to understand too is that the demographic may change because people are moving out of states like this. And as people move out, well, sometimes the demographic of the people that remain or people that come back in can change things as well. Let's see. Is Aguila ammunition any good? It depends on what you're using it for. If it's just plinking ammunition, yeah, I've used it for that. I wouldn't go buy it for self-defense. No. X-Star 10mm is nice, but hard to find. Well, just about everything's hard to find at the moment. That's what I'm told. Strange highways. He didn't lose 5 friends. Well, I don't know whether he did or not. I think he's referring to the person who said he lost 5 friends from COVID. No individual state has the right or authority to police what we are as free people. Garth, I agree with you 100%. just so that you know. That's from Garthland. Throat Punch, what a great name. Virus is just a flu. 1.5 million tuberculosis deaths last year. No mask, huh? Right. Right. Doctors accidentally kill 250,000 people every year because of their medical errors. And so this is why I say, right? I mean, anyway, Freemasons, I don't know. I'm not a conspiracy guy. I'm not going to get to the Freemason thing, but there you are. It's definitely a double standard. I don't get it. I do get it. I think it's done for political reasons. But I agree with you, Brian. Thanks for true emotions. I don't know what you're thanking me for, Jeff, but you're welcome. You mentioned you don't hunt in California. No, I don't. I have hunted in California for a long time. Let's see what. You mentioned you don't hunt in California. What brought you to not want to hunt in California? Was it the non-lead ammo, the fish and game laws, all of the above, and the fact that I don't want to give ammo any more money to California than I absolutely have to? I'm sick and tired of having, I don't want, how can I say it? I'm sick and tired of the nanny state being in every aspect of my life. I live in California, so I have to put up with the nanny state quite a lot. But if there's any opportunity for me to get the nanny state out of my life, I will take it. So I go hunt in other states where they don't nanny state me to death. I'm also sick and tired of game wardens. Not that I have any problem with game wardens, but I'm sick and tired of forward-leaning game wardens looking to try to find a reason that I'm screwing up something. Hey, that attitude ticks me off. I don't mind the game wardens in other states because they come up and talk to me like I'm a human being. And they'll ask me questions. They don't assume that I'm breaking the law. But the ones in California, the ones I've experienced, are like that. I think the last one that got me was one guy that assumed I was trespassing and was all in my face. I wasn't trespassing. We had permission to hunt the private land and we had the letter in our hands. But his demeanor and his attitude, frankly, ticked me off. And it was on that day, I was hunting with a buddy of mine named Zach, that I made up my mind I would never hunt California again. So there you go. So I'm getting hot under the collar today. I apologize. Let's see. What is I hope I didn't. I think I did. Let's see. Oh, no. Okay. How do you shoot without lead? Well, that's MP. There's a lot of ammo that's lead free. Barnes bullets, for example. Let's see. They make non-lead ammo. I heard. Okay. And then steel shot you heard steel shot rocks. No. It doesn't. It sucks. I've been a duck hunter for a long time. Steel does not have the density of lead. And so it's not nearly as effective as lead is. But it doesn't end up in the water either. And so, if you're using steel shot, you're not polluting the water. And that's why you can't use lead shot when you're hunting waterfowl. That's the reasoning behind that. New subscriber here. Hey, Joel, this is Velvet Pilot. Velvet Pilot. I love it. 2008. That's cool. New subscriber here. Hey, Joel, love the channel. Have you fired the M400 tread or 716i tread rifles by Sig Sauer? No. I'd love to, but no, I haven't. But now you got me wanting to call Sig Sauer and going, hey, can you send me those? Whatever they are. I'd have to look them up. No, I haven't. I apologize. But thank you very much for subscribing. I'm really grateful. Again, they have no right to police us. That's why, we did that. Okay. Sounds like injuring animals to me. Sounds like injuring animals to, you're talking about lead, the non-lead ammo. That's a shot placement issue. Really. If you put the shot where it belongs, don't take a shot unless you got a shot, and you put the shot where it belongs. You're not injuring the animal. Yeah, sometimes you got to track them a ways because wild animals are tough, okay? You hit the deer right where you're supposed to, and they'll still go 60 yards, and you got to go, or more, and you got to go track them down. That happens. Do reloading components have the same restrictions on buying, transporting, or making, or maybe, no. That's from Brian Faust. No, in California they do not, at least not at the moment, but I'm sure they're on the list. But at this moment, no, they don't. You can order reloading components, have them sent right to your door. Thank you, West Coast Chicano. Gracias. Muchísimas gracias. I appreciate the $2. Let's see. My father-in-law is okay. I'm trying to get, now I'm going to hurry up a little bit because I realize I'm running long on time here and I don't want to do that to you. You may not have dealt with idiots in LA suburbs living with the wolves and bears is much better. Yeah, well, okay. So that's from Parm Lahal. I don't know about the LA suburbs, okay? But people on social media sometimes say things to me and they don't realize, they don't know me. I have lived in Los Angeles. In fact, I lived in my car for 4 months in Los Angeles and was homeless. This is a long time ago. So I do know what it's like to be woken up in the middle of the night by police officers and told you can't sleep here. I've lived on the street and been homeless for a very short time, so I know what that's like. I've been poor enough at that time that I had to steal to eat because I couldn't get work. I was trying to get work, but I couldn't get work. And back then, there were no soup kitchens, as they call them, or homeless shelters is what I'm looking for. That didn't exist. So you either did it, you made it, or you didn't. And I was fortunate. I had a family member who helped me out and got me off the street. But I was really in a bad, stuck position. So I've been very broke. I've been on the street, very poor, and I've been a guy who did pretty well. Now, I've never been rich, but I've had a good living and been kind of borderline upper middle class, and I've been really, really broke and everything in between. And yes, I agree with you that people in the LA suburbs are sometimes a pain in the butt, but nevertheless, there are also a lot of good people out there. It just depends on who you're talking to. So I don't want to clump them in a bunch. Joel, people going through how caverns gave bats what is called white nose syndrome. Okay, that sounds like a joke, but I'm assuming that it isn't. That's MP. Deep in Connecticut, we had bats everywhere. Now they are all dead. Oh, wow, really? It just sucks. I agree. They should ban people from going. Wow, well, I went there, I'm going to say 40 years ago. I just aged myself, didn't I? I went there 40 years ago. It was the most amazing place. And I have always loved upstate New York. It is an incredibly beautiful state. People think of New York and they only think of New York City. But New York has some beautiful, beautiful places and some really great people. The people upstate that I met were just terrific. I really enjoyed spending time with them. And so I have good memories of that area and good memories of upstate New York. Just as I have good memories of Pittsburgh, but not so much of Pittsburgh, and cities like that. Not so much of Pittsburgh, but the surrounding areas around Pittsburgh. I had a really close friend who's now unfortunately passed away, but he lived in Gibsonia, PA. And I've been Gibsonia and Mars and all the little townships around Pittsburgh, and the people there are marvelous. I loved them. And so the same way with New York, the same way with parts of New Jersey. My son lived in Toms River, New Jersey for a while as a college student, broke as broke could be, and Toms River's not cheap. So he has some great memories of that area as well. So anyway, I'm sorry to hear that about the bats. That's really a bummer. Just wanted to say howdy from Connecticut. Hey, Connecticut. I tell you what. Is that Connecticut or Kentucky? No, it's Kentucky. This is what happens when I don't have my glasses. I apologize. That's Kentucky. I was talking to somebody about Kentucky the other day. I spoke to you via email about your body armor, and you were gracious to answer. Well, thank you very much. I'm always going to do that. That's Saddlebag Preacher. Kentucky. I was talking to somebody else. I spent decades since I've been to Kentucky. What a fabulous place. I love Kentucky. And people talk about the Kentucky bluegrass. You can comment about it, okay? Please do, because they won't believe me. Kentucky has some just fabulous areas. I love that state. It's awesome. All right, libs are voting for Biden for president. Yeah, they are. Biden doesn't know what he's running for. He's confused on any given day. Yes, I realize. Yeah, okay. So this is our boy Hemingway. Yes, I know. Trump and the bump stock. I get it. And Trump and the lack of due process. I think they should take the guns first and do due process later. Well, that was a stupid statement because it's unconstitutional. No, I get it. I do. Like I said, if you want to, you can ask me. I'll answer you right now. Do I agree with everything that Trump has ever said or done? No, I don't. Has he done a lot of good? Yes. Has he screwed up in some places? Sure. Having never made a mistake in my life, I don't know how he did it. Okay? I'm never going to find a person there is never, ever going to be a president I'm going to agree with 100%. ever. So it's always an exercise in choosing the person with whom you agree the most. Well, if I have a choice of Joe Biden and President Trump, that's not a tough choice for me. And if it's a tough choice for you, I'm a little surprised. It's not a tough choice for me. So there you are. And I don't believe I'm sitting here having to defend that. That should be obvious, but nevertheless, I'll share it anyway. Rainbow Range might be open. I believe the Rainbow Range is open, Alan. It's Alan Powell. And it was open when I was up there recently. And I did call them and ask them the other day, and they should be open. My last name is said like the tennis player Roger Federer, but with an L. Lederer. Did I do it right? Let me know if I did it right. I'm terribly sorry if I'm screwing it up. I try not to screw up people's last names. My last name is Persinger, and it has been screwed up in every possible way. From Texas, David Chapman, thank you very much. Yes, I know. I love Texas, too. This is a great country. It really is. I've been all over this country. I've been in every state of the union except one, and that's Alaska. And I have two really close friends up there, and one just recently invited me to go hunting, and I couldn't go. I want to go so bad it's killing me. I have been all over this country in my lifetime, and I'm going to tell you something. I don't care what other people say. I don't care what's going on in this country right now with all the unrest and everything else. I don't care about all the election nonsense. The United States of America is the greatest country on the face of this earth, and it has the greatest people I have ever had the privilege to know, and I've been all over it. So there you are. There's my opinion. Take it or leave it. Pete E. Pete's a friend of mine. He's commenting and trying to say something nice. You're so popular because you're so stinking cute. Thank you so very much. Pete and I are going shooting, I think next Friday, not this Friday. Where can I buy 300 blackout ammo? That's Gil Garcia. Gil, I think, I don't know. If you're in California, you'd probably have to order it and have it shipped to a gun shop near you. It's buying ammo in this state is such a zoo. That's why I do a lot of reloading. Hey, Joel, what do you think of 357 SIG ammunition? Well, I'm not sure. This is Velvet Pilot. The 357 SIG as if you're asking me as a defensive round, it rocks. It really, really does. It's pricey because it's not super popular. But man, does it rock. It's a great round for defensive purposes. It really is. I like it a lot. It's a little on the pricey side when you're starting to buy defensive ammo. But does it have a reputation for effectiveness? Yes, if that's what you're asking me. I got a friend who's got got a Glock and 357 SIG and loves it. Did you ever convert your Sega yet? No, I haven't. I read a lot of the comments and I've kind of figured out what I'm going to do with it, but I'm not 100% sure. And then I got busy with a bunch of other things. Work kind of got in the way there. I apologize, but I will. But I'll let you know as soon as I do. You can hunt. That's true. You can hunt a lot of ammo. This is Bob Smith. You can hunt a lot of animals in California using air rifle. Jackie Chan. Hi, Joel. Jackie, I love your movies. Always have. I suspect that's not the actual Jackie Chan, but nevertheless, if it is. Thank you very much. I'm really honored. That's kind of cool. Oh, yeah. Anyway, sorry. I don't know what you mean by checking it in. You'll have to clarify that for me, Jackie, and let me know. Let's see if I can move a little bit faster here. Gil Garcia, you're welcome. By airplane. If you're checking it into an airplane, how do you store gun and ammo? Okay, that's a TSA question. And that's an individual airline thing. So when you're getting ready to fly, check with the airline website, and they'll give you specific instructions on how to do it. It's not hard. But you want to follow not only the TSA guidelines, but also the individual rules of the airline you're going to go on. They're all a little bit different. And then the stream is having trouble here. So let me see if I can get to the end before it dies on me. Appreciate you and your honesty. Stay strong. I will do that. Thank you, MP. Eric Parchman. I hope I did it right. When is California going to get rid of the CCW just cause statement and become a shall issue state? Well, Eric, I don't have a win. That's a difficult thing to do currently. And the reason why it's difficult is because we have a very leftist legislature that has a supermajority. They can't be overruled. And we have a very leftist anti-gun governor. So is it going to happen during that administration? No. The law does not define. The problem with it, it's a good thing and a bad thing. It's one of those things. The law in California does not define good cause, is what it's called. Not just cause, good cause. And it simply says that a local law enforcement authority can issue a permit to a resident within their jurisdiction who is 21 years of age or older and not a prohibited person for good cause. It's up to each law enforcement authority to decide what good cause means. Of the 58 counties we have in the state of California, the vast majority of them look at good cause as simply, I would like one for self-defense. There are a few that don't issue at all, Los Angeles being one. I think there's one or two, maybe three, that don't issue at all. And then there are many, like San Diego, that issue if you can give them a reason other than I simply want one. And that's the sheriff of San Diego's policy, is present to me a reason other than I simply want one, and we'll look at it. He's been true to that. So if you go to him and say, I want to have a concealed carry permit, and here's why, and it's in any way reasonable, you're probably going to get a permit. So it just depends on the county you're in. The way that you change it currently is not going to be at the legislative level or the state level, because that's nigh on impossible with the current makeup of the legislature and the governor's office. However, you can change it by electing a different sheriff. So if you don't like your sheriff because he won't issue or she won't issue, change sheriffs. That's a lot easier to do than it is at a state level, and then elect a sheriff that is going to issue. And in the meantime, are we fighting that battle, trying to change it on a state basis? Yes. I would like to see the entire country be a constitutional carry state. The Second Amendment is your permit. Why do you have to bow before a government agency and pay them money to exercise a constitutional right? But that's not where we are at this moment. I'm hoping the stream is still good. Let's see. Helen, good evening from Atlanta, Georgia. Thank you very much. Dark Void. What a great name. 723. I'm watching from beautiful New Hampshire. Boy, are you absolutely right, Coleman. New Hampshire is beautiful. I love that entire area. Well, great hunting, by the way, up there. Let's see. Hello from Arizona. My husband and I love your show. And, well, tell your husband thank you very much, Jelgar. And I love Arizona. My wife, by the way, is from Arizona. She grew up in Arizona. That's her home state. And she went to Arizona State University and graduated with her master's degree in speech and language pathology. So that's where she grew up, was Arizona. So we have a great deal of love for your state. Great place, Arizona. Okay, here we go. Let's see if I can get through the rest of these. Up in horse country and center of state, there are huge farms, and the grass has. Yep, it sure does. All right, well done. That's Saddlebag Preacher. Saddlebag Preacher. I want to tell you something. I'm going to be real honest with you here. I absolutely love horses. I think they're one of the most beautiful animals on the earth. I love being around them. I love the smell of the horse and the saddle and the corral and the whole deal. But what I know about horses, you could honestly put in the head of a pin and have room left over. I've sat on a horse a couple of times and had it go where it was going, but I don't know how to ride one, never did learn. But I absolutely do love them. They're beautiful. So I'm glad that you are around them. I have a really good friend, Henry Cruitt, who is quite the horseman. Let's see, Brian and Jose Lopez is a buddy of mine as well, who's quite the horseman. Brian Mazar, you'll love, you bet I will. Talking about Alaska. Yeah, Alaska is, I'm just looking at the pictures. I want to go. And let's see, Kentucky Cowboy, my kid said Governor Lamont is the best. I asked him if during his lifetime, and he said yes. Okay, and he's 6. What do you know? When my son was 8, one day he said to me, Dad, I miss the good old days. I started laughing. I said, what good old days? You're 8. What good old days could you possibly have? Kids say the darndest things. 357 SIG is great. So there you go. And you're right, it is. Let's see. Yeah, it depends on the sheriff. Is that true? Oh, absolutely. David Eckhart, chatting from the free state of Oklahoma, would love to see a national law passed to disallow states creating gun control. Okay. I'll go you one better. I'd like to see a law prohibiting the government of the United States or any state from creating gun control. We have a Second Amendment to the Constitution. It should be followed precisely as stated. The right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Period. Recommended red dot for Smith & Wesson 327 is an TRR8. Okay. Constitutional carry here, absolutely, and we'd love to have that everywhere. I'm in New Hampshire as well. Much love and respect. Thank you so very much. I appreciate it. And God bless you as well. God has blessed me. I'm married to the most wonderful woman in the world. My kids are awesome. And I'm very, very, very grateful. God is awesome. He's blessed me a lot. I'm not wealthy financially, but I don't care. It doesn't matter. I know a lot of wealthy people and met a lot of wealthy people whose lives are in absolute misery. So money's not everything. In fact, sometimes I think it does you more harm than good. Let's see. Howdy from Wyoming. Wyoming. Don't get me started about Wyoming, man. That place is marvelous. That place is marvelous. You go a long way. It's like Montana. You go a long way and never see another human being. I love it. I absolutely love it. My wife will tell you, it's an aside, and then I got to go because I realize I'm burning up so much time. I apologize. My wife will tell you that I am not a people person. I'm just, it's not that I dislike people. I'd rather have Charlie and he and I and my shotgun be out hunting chucker or something. I'd rather be out in the middle of no place by myself. There are times she'll say to me, you're getting grumpy. You got to go. And I'll get in my truck and I'll disappear. I'll find some place, put that sucker in four-wheel drive and find some rural place where there is not another human being within 10 miles of me. And I'm perfectly happy. So yeah, Wyoming is marvelous. I love that place. Anyway, you got me started about places like that. Let's see. Aloha from Oahu, Hawaii. Okay. All right. Now, okay. Titus, I got to tell you, and I realize I'm going on a bit different places. I've never been to Oahu, and I would love to go. I have been to the Big Island, which was a marvelous trip, and I have been to Maui, which is a marvelous trip. And there are a couple things I absolutely love about Hawaii, and you're going to think that they're dumb. Okay. I absolutely love Duck Kitchen. I know that they're everywhere, okay? At least that's what I was told. But the food is marvelous and it's cheap, okay? And I found one in Kihei and just loved that place because the food was cheap, the people were great, it was marvelous. And there was an ice cream shop called Toby's Ice Cream Shop, and they had coconut custard ice cream the last time I went. And I can't find it anywhere on the planet. So I don't know about Oahu. I would love to go. But there are parts of Hawaii I just think are absolutely marvelous. Okay, my opinion about the Beretta 92X. Okay, I'm going to put it this way. Beretta is the oldest family-owned gun manufacturer in the world. There's very little that they don't make extremely well. So for me, what it comes down to, honestly, is a personal preference when it comes to how does the gun feel, how does it point for me, and so on. I have found that a lot of Berettas don't point well naturally for me because of the grip angle. That's not a slight against the gun. That's a gun fit issue. And it's also what I'm used to shooting and what I point naturally. So for me, that gun does not point naturally. Does it function extremely well? Yes. I have about 5 friends who have them. Love them. I've yet to pick up a gun made by Beretta that wasn't made extraordinarily well. So if it's something that you like, that fits you well, and that points well for you, whether it's a shotgun, rifle, pistol, doesn't matter. If it's made by Beretta or any other quality gun maker, you probably can't go wrong. So I hope that helps. Connecticut here, beautiful Connecticut, Southington, Connecticut, and Bristol, Connecticut. I had some of the best Polish kielbasa and like that I've ever had in my life, and went to the drag races and had a great time. Great place. Had some relatives live there for a while in Southington, Connecticut, and some friends in Bristol. I told you I've been all over the place. Aloha from Maui. Hey, there you go. Okay, now you got me. I'm going back to Maui. And okay, is the kitchen still there? That's what I want to know. LOL. Glad you like the food, Joel. Come on back. I will do that as soon as I can. The kitchen. Oh no. Is that because it just closed? Is that because of COVID? Please tell me that COVID didn't kill the kitchen. Oh wow. What is my favorite food? All right, that's the last question I can answer today, and that's for fish sauce. That's really difficult to say because I love to eat. I'm half Italian. Okay. I do love a great lasagna. I live in San Diego County, so I know what Mexican food is. I worked in Mexico for 2 years. I speak 3 languages. Only one well. I speak English. I speak English, Spanish, and cash. Everybody speaks cash, right? So hablo 3 idiomas: inglés, español, y dinero. I speak 3 languages: English, Spanish, and cash. My Spanish is okay. My English is probably just okay as well. But having worked in Mexico for a couple of years, I have a love for Mexico and for their food. My son is an aspiring chef, and he loves to cook. And so I get a lot of things that I love to eat. I'm a big lover of seafood. One of my favorite things in seafood is New England clam chowder. And the reason for that is that my grandfather had a wonderful home. He only graduated the 5th grade, and I know I'm talking about stuff I shouldn't be talking about probably. My dad's dad graduated the 5th grade. That was it. He was a barefoot country kid from Chandler, Indiana. He was born at the turn of the century from the 1800s to the 1900s, and his father died. He didn't die. His father broke his back in working in the coal mines. And so at 5th, he had to leave the 5th grade. I don't think he actually graduated, and go to work because he was the oldest child. Back then they didn't have Social Security and all that kind of stuff, and he had to support his family. He was the oldest of many children. And when he was a welder in the shipyards, he moved out to Long Beach, became a welder and a welding foreman in the shipyards, and then bought and sold fixed-up houses in the background when he had time, and he ended up with a beautiful home in Belmont Shore. If you ever want to drive by it, it's 104 Argonne, Belmont Shore. We don't own it anymore. But he used to go with me down to the old Long Beach Pier when I was a boy, and we would walk down the pier at the little restaurant. We'd have New England clam chowder, and I've always loved it ever since. Now, the other day, my son, I wanted to take him to a restaurant my wife and I love seafood. We went out to Shelter Island here in San Diego, and we went to oh my gosh, I just lost the name of the restaurant. I'll put it in the description. It's a favorite little restaurant of ours. It used to be called something else, and then they actually changed hands. We had a marvelous meal. We had their clam chowder, which is incredible, and then we had the seared ahi tuna. I think it was ahi, and it was just incredible. So I love seafood. I love Mexican food. Italian food, I grew up eating that. My little Italian grandmother, Rose, was a marvelous cook, and she used to feed me more than I really should eat because she used to say I was too thin. She was 4'10" any way you measured her. This way, that way. Typical little Italian gal. And I absolutely love fresh. I love food. I love meat. This is going to offend somebody. I'm a hunter, okay? So if I kill it and eat it, I like it better. So I do like venison a lot. I like wild game a lot. So anyway, there you go. And I could probably go on for a long time about food that I like. But I do like, I like a lot of things, and I love to eat. Okay, wow, I just bought my first house in Southington, Connecticut on July 4th. Well, congratulations, Connecticut Cowboys. Isn't that cool? All right, well, listen, thank you so very much for hanging out with me tonight. I apologize. It wasn't a very planned live stream, but I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. And I hope you have a wonderful week. Wherever you go, I got to hit this little button here. Wherever you go or whatever you do, this is a crazy time. I would encourage you to keep the faith. Don't give up. Try to wake up in the morning and be grateful that the morning came and that God has given you another one. Look at the beautiful sky and the beauty around you And try not to look at the news any more than you have to. It'll depress the tar out of you. And I think if we stick together and we're kind to one another and we treat each other with respect, we'll all get through it. America is the greatest country that has ever existed on this planet. And if you ever doubt that, ask me. I'll remind you. Have a great week. Thank you very much for all that you do and for hanging with me. And wherever you go, whatever you do, please be safe.